I argue this is one of the funniest comedies of the 2010s.
It's day 154 of 365. Today's movie, 21 Jump Street.
You don't have to go undercover to find a cool movie club. Head to patreon.com/TicketStubMovieClub to join my movie club. It's $5 a month. You get early access to these video essays, as well as monthly deep dives. I'm going to be adding more episodes to the podcast soon. I have a private Discord set up for us to talk about these movies as we add them in. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and suggestions, so head over there today. This one's directed by Lord and Miller, who we talked about on the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs episode. Head back in the series to check that one out. And it stars Channing Tatum, Jonah Hill, and Brie Larson's here too. I totally forgot she was in this movie. This one is a reboot, technically, of a classic TV series that used to star Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp's here too. At the very beginning of the movie, when they first become cops and they make their first arrest, Johnny Depp's in that scene. He's not just in the scene reveal at the end, but he's in that first scene as well. Audiences were saying, finally, something that is rebooting something that wasn't perfect and making it absolutely near perfect. That's what we want out of our reboots. That is the bar to achieve. And it was made by the adaptation experts, no less. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is an adaptation of a kid's book into a movie. Here they're adapting a TV show into a movie. They also got their hands on Star Wars at a certain point, and they never released that movie, instead passing it off to Ron Howard to reshoot the whole thing. I would love to see the Lord and Miller cut of Solo, is what I'm saying. That's gotta be 10 times better than the movie that we ended up getting. And from here, they've made adaptation like their bag. The Lego movie is adapting toys into a movie. Project Hail Mary is coming out soon, and that's another novel into a movie. These guys just know how to make adaptations. I kind of trust them at all times within this genre. Watching this in theaters as a young guy, this was exactly the kind of comedy experience I hope everyone gets in theaters at some point. Not a single seat was left quiet. Every single sequence had the entire theater rolling with laughter. By the end, some of us had stitches. We were having a hard time catching our breath. Everyone walked out kind of friends for the experience of having watched that movie together as an audience. That's movie magic when you ask me. Rewatching it as an adult, there's a reason this movie holds up so well. It is geniusly written, and it almost feels like it predicted Gen Z entirely. Now think, Gen Z was like young. They would have been kind of middle school age by the time this came out, but they predicted the entire shift in the feelings of our youth culture as we went from jock culture to nerd culture, with nerd culture now in 2025 being the main leader of blockbusters. Avengers Doomsday was a fucking comic book that got me beat up in high school. Now, if you don't know it, you're the nerd. There's just so much love in this movie. It's one of my favorites. So let's dive into the 3 things that I loved about 21 Jump Street. The first thing that I love so much about this movie are Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. This is a genius pairing. I don't know how they landed on this within the auditions. I'm just happy that they did. Jonah Hill is often paired in his movies, and he seems to work well with another person. Channing Tatum, on the other hand, this is like the sexy date movie guy at the time. So to put him not only in a position where he gets to do action, but he gets to be funny, and he gets to be funny in a way that we've never seen him be funny before. And he gets to do all that alongside Hill with their amazing chemistry. This is just like lightning in a bottle. I went to see a lot of these like stoner comedies from the time, and this is my standout. I genuinely think, like I said at the top, this is probably one of the best comedies to come out of the 2010s. And to me, a big part of that is the pairing of Hill and Tatum. They just work so organically great together, and the movie's genius enough to give them their own solid solo comedy sequences as well. Like, they get to stand on their own and as a pairing. And so anytime they're apart, something funny is going to happen, and we're going to learn the plot of the movie. And then when they're together, we know hilarity is about to ensue because they're just both made for this. The physical comedy is excellent. Channing Tatum holds his own against Hill, who I've talked about a bunch of times over the last few videos about how funny he is as a physical comedian. Channing Tatum's just as funny. Like, I think about during the arrest scene where he's twerking on the guy that they just arrested. It just works so well, the visual of it overall. This pairing is comedy gold. I hope we do end up getting some of the continuing adventures of this pair in the 21 Jump Street universe. The second thing that I really dig about this movie is the way that it plays with our expectations. When we see the beginning of the movie, it sets up who we think these characters are going to be able to fit into when they get back into their high school setting. We see Channing Tatum's kind of a bully, kind of a jock. We see that Jonah Hill is like very nerdy and trying his best to fit in, and maybe even a little artistic for the things that he's looking into to be interested in. But then the movie makes the genius choice of inverting those when they get to their first day of high school. It is crazy the way that generations change, and it's something that I noticed as well, having grown up on media from Gen X, learning that there's like bullies and jocks and nerds, and that there's a power structure to all this, only to have that power structure invert. I was a comic book kid growing up. Now I'm on top of the world because it's our media that's moving the movie landscape. Jocks and nerds have like the nerdy thing now. Like being into sports is kind of nerdy in America at this point. Now, they won't tell you that. There's still a personality that comes along with all this. And the personalities stick here too. The nerdy crew in the new high school, they don't feel like they run things. They feel like they run things in the background. The jockey end of things, which we don't get enough of, honestly, we kind of learn that they feel like social outcasts at this point. And that inversion is just, it's comedy gold. It allows us to get this fish out of water angle that you wouldn't have expected from this movie. Like, you think they're going to walk up and just run the high school, because that's what it feels like to us, the audience. If we went back to high school, we would run things. We get it now. But we really don't, because time progresses forward and culture changes. I really love, that's super smart of them as filmmakers to like not just treat this as a comedy with the comedy situations we would expect, but instead to evolve things and ask us, the audience, to evolve with it, to catch up to what this new comedy situation might be. It keeps everything feeling really fresh. And if I took anything away from my recent rewatch, is that this movie's still fucking funny in 2025 because of its evolution and freshness. And that's something Lord and Miller have always been good at. The third and final thing that I really dig about this movie is that Lord and Miller know how to build bits. I've been hinting at it up to this point, but I think the thing worth pointing out is how well they know how to build up to a bit and then pull that bit off. When you have two down-ass actors that are willing to throw their bodies and their careers on the line to make a movie work, then the directors are able to go further than they normally would have. I think about the drug trip sequence and how hilarious that entire thing is. There's multiple bits to it too. It is not just the one interaction that they have with the coach, but then it's the Peter Pan sequence, as well as a couple other bits mixed in there. And the way that they can show that off by initially showing us the YouTube culture around it at the beginning of the movie. It's loud, it's brash, it's in your face, and then they re-represent that in like a cinema form. As a kid that grew up on YouTube, to see a movie acknowledge YouTube and then ape that style to absolutely glorious degree to make it feel like a big movie, and then for that big movie to take off and be one of the darlings, not only of the year, but I feel of that decade, I think it really goes to show that YouTube's impact cannot be understated, and Lord and Miller are YouTube guys. You see it built into all of their movies, the way that they bring animation and that kind of frenetic ADHD nature into everything that they do, but pushed up to that cinematic level. It's kind of their calling card at this point, but it comes down to how they build the bits throughout this movie that just really impresses me. But what do you think? Am I being a little aggrandizing, calling this one of the funniest movies of the 2010s, or do you agree? Is this one of the standouts for you? Let me know down in the comments. Our next movie, we're switching over to a series that could have got a trilogy, just like 21 Jump Street, and just like 21 Jump Street, they've not completed the trilogy so far, if ever. We're talking Wrath of the Titans next, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow.